Sitting there fighting a battle that was over when I had to relocate. You see, I ain't much for letting go. No, baby, I gotta hold on. Cause trials, tribulations, and relationships have all made me strong. These tears that I shed on the trail to bring you home. Mama told me that a man's own tears can make him strong. I'll sit around here and wait for you to come home. I'll cry, I'll cry.
Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips in the balance of the favor of fair use.
Black leaves in the Mississippi fire. Black leaves in the Mississippi choir. Black leaves on the Mississippi land. And we've got garden, we've got sons and daughters, we got grit and glory, we've got mother stories, we've got strength like towers, we got hope and power. God made one with iron's hand, placed her up on heaven's land. God made one with iron's hand, raised her up on heaven's land. Strength like towers, we got hope and power. God made one with an iron hand, raised her up on heaven's land.
Welcome to Blended Healing, Black History Bite. Remembering Matilda. She is the last enslaved person that arrived on this shoreline. Today we're going to remember her. Let me give you the story of Matilda. On January the 13th, it marked the 85th year since the death of Matilda, whose name at birth was Abaki, meaning born to be loved by all, among the Takar people of Western Africa. On a cold December morning in 1931, a short, elderly Black woman set out for a 15-mile walk from her homestead in Alabama on a quest for justice. That long walk to the court in Selma was no small undertaking for a person in her mid-70s. But Matilda McCreer was determined to go and make her legal claim for compensation for the horrors that she and her family had been through. Until her death 85 years ago on January the 13th, 1940, Matilda was the last surviving passenger on the last ever slave ship bound from West African coast to North America in late 1859. Her story began many decades before and 1,000 miles away from that sharecropping homestead originally named Abaki. The girl, later renamed Matilda by her American owner, came into the world around 1857 among the Takar people of the West African interior. In 1859, at the age of 2, little Abaki was captured along with her mother, later renamed Grace, and her 3 older sisters and some other relatives by troops of the kingdom of Dahomey, located in what is now Benin. Torn away from the rest of their family, they were victims of an age-old regional warfare which underpinned an equally ancient but persistent trade and slavery reaching across North and East Africa through the Ottoman Empire and eventually the Americas. The details of her capture are unknown, but like millions before them, Abaki and her captives were very likely tied together in groups with ropes and wooden yokes and forced to march hundreds of miles to the coast port of Oda, now city in southern Benin. Their so-called death march was the first leg of a long and merciless sojourn. Once they arrived in Oida, slaves would be held in barracoons, which were enclosed pens within which prisoners awaited inspection and sale to European traders, at which point they were often branded with dehumanizing marks of their new owner. Abaki and her family members were sold as part of a consignment of slaves to one Captain William Forster of Canadian origin. He wrote in his journal, "I went to see the king of Dahomey, having agreeably transacted our affairs. We went to the warehouse where they had in confinement 4,000 captives in a state of nudity, from which they gave me liberty to select 125 as mine, offering to brand them for me, from which I preemptively forbid. Commenced taking on cargo of Negroes, successfully securing on board 110. Forced to ship the Clotilda, a 2-masted schooner, 86 feet in length, is now infamous as the last ship known to have carried slaves across the Atlantic to North America, and by this time it was illegal for while slavery continued across the southeast of the United States and in parts of South America, the importations of slaves had been prohibited since 1808. The Clotilda set sail from Oda late in the year, purportedly carrying lumber. The 11-man crew, being promised double their normal wage to keep quiet about the true contents, as per the entry in Forster's journal. Their route across the Atlantic was known as the Middle Passage, making up second part of the triangular trade route connecting Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Ships carried weapons and manufactured goods from Europe to the slave coast of West Africa. On the first part of the round trip in the Middle Passage, the cargo was traded for enslaved Africans who were transported to the United States and South America, where they were usually sold by auction. And on the final course, the vessels returned to Europe, usually laden with cotton, tobacco, and sugarcane. This is part one of Matilda's story. I will return to continue the story on another day. Remember from where you came. Remember where you're going. Remember the blood that was spilt. Remember how we are now treating each other. Ashe and deep bow to each and every one of you. And I shall see you all very, very soon.
Fighting a battle that was over when I had to relocate. You see, I ain't much for letting go. No, baby, I gotta hold on. Cause trials, tribulations, and relationships have all made me strong. Oh, girl, I cry. These tears that I shed on the trail to bring you home. Oh, girl, I cry. Mama told me that a man's own tears can make him strong. Oh, girl, I cry. I'll sit around here and wait for you to come